Camera is gonna die. It's at 1%. What's up, you guys? It's Sarah and welcome back to my channel. So today is March 29th, which means that it is my 6-month diversary, or my diabetes anniversary. It's kind of crazy that it's been 6 months. It feels like I've had diabetes for so long, but also for not very long, and it's kind of weird, but yeah, it's been 6 months now, so I thought I'd film another update video just to let you guys know what's been going on and how I've been dealing with all of it. And this is probably going to be the last monthly diabetes video I make, or update video, because after this I'm probably just going to do it yearly. I feel like the first few months is when things change the most, and after this I don't think things are going to be changing like a ton, but maybe they will, because I might be going on pump soon, but I don't know, we'll see. So anyway, let's just get into the video. And first thing we're going to talk about is some stats, starting off with my A1C levels. I've gotten 3 A1C tests in total. The first one was when I was in the hospital and it was 15.1, and then the last time I did it, it was 7.9, and this time, about 2 weeks ago, I got it done again and it is now 6.3. I'm actually really happy with that. I'm pretty sure if you're below 7, the risk of you getting complications with diabetes decreases by, I don't remember the exact numbers, but it's quite a bit. So I'm below 7 now, which I'm happy with, but there's still a part of me that wants to be lower than that and like be in the 5s. I don't really know why, I just feel like I should be. But I am happy with 6.3, and I know I shouldn't be too concerned with A1C levels, because your time in range and your standard deviation and those kind of things are definitely a lot more important, because your A1C only measures an average of your blood sugar. So if you always are super high or super low, then they'll balance out and you might have a good A1C, but your control might not be good. So yeah, I know I don't need to be super concerned about that, but it is something that most healthcare professionals measure and look at, so I guess it's something that I still kind of have in the back of my mind. Speaking of time in range, I've actually done really well with that. For the past 3 months, I've been in range, which for me is between 4 to 9 millimoles per liter, 84% of the time, which is really good, and I'm also really happy with that. And I've been high about 13% of the time, and I've only been low about 3% of the time, which I think those are pretty good numbers. I definitely should not be low at all, but I think there have been some problems with my sensor, because usually once I get to the end of the 2 weeks, it'll read lower than I actually am. I'll test my blood sugar using my little blood sugar device thing, if I actually think I'm low. So moving on to my current supplies. So right now I am using Priscilla and Fias. I'll talk about Priscilla first. So I switched to Priscilla about 2 or 3 weeks ago now, and I really like it. It's working for me much better than Lantus. I found with Lantus that during the night I would always have like almost like a U pattern, whereas with Priscilla I stay more steady throughout the night. And since I had like the little like dip with Lantus, there would always be a time during the night where I'd go low for like, I don't know, what looked like about 20 minutes, but I'd never wake up, which might be because my sensor was slightly off, but I was still on a really low dose and I wanted to increase it because I knew during the day I needed more. So yeah, so I'm on Tresiba now and I really like it. And I'm also back on Fiasp now. I was on Humalog for a little bit, but that's just because I ran out of Fiasp, and I think I like Fiasp better, but I found that it started to slow down quite a bit. It's definitely still faster than Humalog, but it's nowhere near as fast as it used to be. Like I used to be able to pre-bolus for like 6 or so minutes before I started eating, or depending on the food, like 1 or 2 minutes right before I started to eat. But now I have to do it about 10 to 15 minutes before I eat. And then with Humalog, it's more like 15 to 20 minutes before I eat. So it is faster, but it's not that much faster, but I'm still using it anyway because, I don't know, I think it works pretty well. Plus, one thing that is noticeably different is with corrections. When I give myself a correction with Fiasp, I come down much faster than with Humalog. So I guess that's the main pro, but I usually don't give myself corrections because most of the time I don't need to. So it's not that big of a deal. Another thing with Fiasp is that I feel like my graphs are usually a bit more spiky when I use it, and with Humalog they're a bit smoother, but I don't know if it's because of the insulin or just because of the food I'm eating, and just during this time right now there's so many things that are changing, so I just don't really know what is really affecting what. But yeah, anyway, I have quite a bit of Fiasp right now, so I'm probably just going to use it, and then I guess we'll see if I keep it or not. I'm pretty sure if you go on pump, you can't use Fiasp in it. At least I don't think it's approved, so I might have to switch back to Humalog if I go on pump. I guess I should talk about pump quickly. At the beginning of the year, I wanted to go on pump, by the spring, but there's been a lot of things that have been going on. Obviously, you guys know with the coronavirus and everything like that. So a lot of things have just kind of slowed down, and my diabetes clinic closed, and I'm also back in my hometown now, as you guys may be able to tell. A lot of things have just kind of stopped happening, so pump probably won't be happening for me until fall, but I think it's good anyway because I don't have a diabetes team back in my hometown right now, and they all are where I go to school, so I'd kind of be doing this on my own, and I didn't really want to do that. Plus, things with insurance are just taking a long time. So yeah, for now, I won't be going on pump, but possibly in the future. Okay, so sorry for the lighting and the camera positioning change and stuff, but my camera died, so I had to charge it for a bit. But I'm back now. I think I was talking about how I was having trouble getting a pump and stuff like that, and I had a similar problem with Dexcom. Everything's just kind of moving slowly right now. I had to get a prescription, and it was taking a while, and then just other stuff is going on, and yeah, so I wanted to switch to Dexcom like around now because my dad just refilled my prescription for all my diabetes stuff. Sadly, I could not get the prescription and insurance stuff figured out in time, so I'm still on the Freestyle Libre for now. But because of COVID-19, the pharmacy was only allowed to give 2 sensors, which only last for 4 weeks. So hopefully after I'm done using those sensors, I'll be able to get the Dexcom stuff. Because I've heard the Dexcoms are so much more accurate and just so much better than the Freestyle Libre. Plus they're like a true continuous glucose monitoring system rather than the Freestyle Libre, which is just the flash glucose monitoring system. I think that's what it's called. Okay, now I'm gonna talk about my insulin to carb ratio. So I think in my last video I said that I was using a 1:9 insulin to carb ratio, and some things have changed with that. Now my insulin to carb ratio is 1:13, and I kind of just got to that through trial and error. But towards the end of last year and the beginning of this year, I was really obsessed with keeping really tight control over my blood sugar and making sure that it wasn't spiking. And over my reading week, I ran out of fly acid. So when I switched back to Humalog, for some reason I was like really sensitive to it, and when I gave myself too much, I just kept going low, and I experienced so many lows during that week when I didn't have school, which was good, I guess, because I didn't have school, but it was terrible. And then after that, I realized that it wasn't worth it to, you know, not fluctuate so much, but also go low all the time. Plus, I didn't feel great because I was always going low and I always had to eat, and it was just really annoying. I learned my lesson there, and now I've definitely calmed down with the amount of insulin I've given myself. I've also made sure to keep in mind the fact that your blood sugar is supposed to raise, I think, between 2 to 4 millimoles per liter 2 hours after you eat your meal, and that's something that my nurse was really trying to get me to, you know, keep in mind, I guess. Another thing I used to do is as soon as I would start going up, I would just automatically go for a walk and try and stop my blood sugar from going up so fast, and I realized that my life consisted of quite a bit of walking, and it really wasn't worth it. Like, I'm just glad that I wasn't just overcorrecting and giving myself a lot of insulin, and I was going on walks instead, which honestly was pretty good, and I do like going on walks, but revolving your life around your blood sugar levels is just not, it's just not worth it. Like, I mean, to a certain extent you should be aware of them and try and control it, but if you're like me and you're going on walks as soon as you saw your blood sugar starting to go up fast, yeah, it's just really not worth it, and it was taking away from me doing like my schoolwork and stuff. You know, I'd be doing my homework and then I'd check my blood sugar, and then all of a sudden it'd be going up, and then I was like, oh no, now I have to go on a walk. But I didn't have to, I just wanted to, so my blood sugars would hopefully stay in range. That's something that's kind of like, you know, a blessing and a curse with having a CGM. Well, it's not really a CGM, but you know what I mean. It's that you can check your blood sugar whatever you want, which is great. Since I can see those numbers all the time, I feel like I always need to control them and they need to be perfect, but there's more to life than just having perfect blood sugars, that's for sure. When you give yourself too much insulin, you gain weight, and I actually have gained a decent amount of weight. I mean, I don't really know how much exactly just because I don't have a scale, but I can definitely feel it on myself. I mean, I don't know how noticeable it is, but I've definitely changed, especially since the very beginning, because I lost a lot of weight before I was diagnosed. I'm pretty sure I lost about 20 to 30 pounds. And I've gained all that back and probably about 5 pounds more. I think all the weight coming back within a shorter amount of time is like being kind of noticeable. Plus, when I was like losing the weight, I didn't really notice it too much, and since I wasn't working out during the time, I thought it was all muscle that I was losing. But it was muscle and probably quite a bit of fat as well. So yeah, anyway, I gained back the weight now. And honestly, I don't really care that much about gaining weight because I'd rather weigh a bit more than I'm supposed to be healthy. because, you know, obviously my health is the most important. Okay, so the last topic I'm going to talk about is mental health and kind of how I feel right now, just in terms of managing my diabetes and all that. So I think I can honestly say that now I've accepted that I have diabetes, and I don't know if gotten over it is the right term to say, but I've come to terms with it, and I think now I've genuinely, you know, accepted it. But there's a part of me that is still very hard on myself in relation to diabetes. Like, I feel like I need to be perfect with it, and that I need to have like perfect blood sugars, and that my graphs should all be like nice straight lines with like no like super intense spikes or anything, and that I should always be in range, and that my A1C should be lower, and you know, all that stuff. And there are people I follow on social media who do have that, and I do find myself comparing myself to them sometimes. I try not to, because I know that, you know, everybody's different. Everyone's in a completely different time of their lives and a completely different time in their diabetes journey. Everyone is, you know, living different lifestyles, and you really can't compare yourself because there's so much that you don't see on social media and you just don't know. So I try my hardest to not compare myself, but I feel like I still do sometimes, and that makes me think that I should maybe unfollow some people. But I think I am pretty self-aware when I do compare myself. I think that's the biggest thing I've struggled with, honestly, is just the fact that I feel like I need to be better than I am right now, and I need to do better. My graphs need to be better, and my A1C needs to be better, and everything just needs to be better. But I think I'm doing pretty well, and this is something that my nurse has told me a lot, is that, you know, for someone who's had diabetes for 6 months, I'm doing well for myself, and my A1C is good. It's under 7, so like I'm honestly doing okay. And you know, I'm trying to be a working human and also trying to be a working pancreas, and that can be a lot sometimes, and I think I just need to be easier on myself. Also, another thing, it's been kind of weird thinking about the fact that now I'm considered immunocompromised. Even though I have good control with my diabetes and I have a good A1C, I still am immunocompromised, but I feel like it's, I don't know, not right almost. Like, you know, in my head I'm like, oh, I'm just like a healthy young 19-year-old girl, which is true, but I also have diabetes, which means that, yeah, I'm immunocompromised. And especially with everything going on right now, like, I really do need to remember that I am one of the people that needs to be a lot more aware of what's going on. If I get the coronavirus, it will be a lot worse for me than for someone who's the same as me except doesn't have diabetes. Okay, so that was my 6-month diabetes update. I hope you guys enjoyed it, maybe learned something, I don't know. And yeah, like I said, I'm probably not gonna film one of these until September, which will mark my 1-year diversity. You guys can check out my Instagram. I'll put it on the screen here. It's also always in the description, and I've just posted a lot of the food I eat there, so if you guys are curious about what kind of food I eat, then you can check that out. And I also post stuff on my stories once in a while, and I post quite a bit of my blood sugar graphs on there as well, if you guys want to look at it. But remember, don't compare yourself to me, because we are all different. With all that being said, I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.